Hello everyone, welcome to Ziza's Kitchen. Today we are going to be making Gizdodo. And the first things first, we are going to need our chicken gizzard. So right here I am cleaning the gizzard and I'm trying to make sure that I am cleaning it thoroughly, making sure I remove the additional ligaments and the film, I guess, if that is what it's called. Typically when you clean a live chicken, this is the area that kind of holds some of the content of the intestine that did not digest. So you want to kind of make sure that you get rid of all of that. It is not a tedious process to clean the gizzard. It's just that you want to make sure you pay attention to detail. So right here is a close-up of what that looks like. I'm just really taking my time to clean it and ensure that I don't miss any spots, because that can be easy to do because again they are small pieces. So once I'm done, these are some of the other ingredients we'll need. We'll need some plantains, and yes, ripe plantains, some green peppers, red bell peppers, some onions as well. So I'm actually going to be boiling the gizzard without any water. And I'm doing this because I want to make sure that I don't have to worry about drying down or boiling down any water. So I'm seasoning it with some Maggi cubes or Knorr cubes. I'm typically usually generous with that. And when I start, if you can see, it's already getting hot and some of the water is already kind of evaporating. I also use a lot of curry in a lot of the things that I cook. So of course, curry has to definitely go in there. I'm very generous with it. And then I use white pepper. White pepper, I've noticed, seems to kind of elevate the taste of a dish. I've really been using it a lot lately, and actually I just ran out. So that was literally the last one that I used for this dish. So that was quite funny. But yeah, so I also add garlic. Sometimes I may use fresh garlic or I may use dry garlic. It just garlic powder. Either one is fine. It just depends on the kind of texture that you're going for. I also add Italian seasoning in the dish. That also kind of gives it that very herby taste as well. And then paprika, of course, for color, which is always a staple in my kitchen. And then I stir everything thoroughly. If you notice, there is already some water that is already coming out from the gizzard that has already been bleeding. And then this is really a lot of, this is just from just boiling it without any water. And that is one of the interesting things about cooking this. So now I'm adding in some salt because I didn't add salt earlier on. So again, with my rule of thumb with salt is start low and go slow. And when I tasted it, I needed some extra bouillon cubes, so I just used a little bit of the beef powder. Now I'm frying the plantains. I usually cut them into cubes like this, just to kind of make it much more manageable when we are stirring it down the line. And also a rule of thumb, as I was going to say, when you're done boiling your gizzard, make sure you keep the stock because you're going to need it. Now I'm also going to fry the gizzard to make sure that it firms up a little bit, because when we start cooking it with the plantain and mixing everything up, you don't want the gizzard to break apart, because the plantain has already been toughened because it's been fried, but the gizzard is still a little bit soft. So this helps to do that, to make it a little bit tougher, so when it goes into the heat again, it's not going to break up. And you're going to see what I mean as we go further. So we want to fry for a few minutes as well. Now I'm going to take everything out and put it in a bowl and line the bowl with some paper towel to kind of absorb all of that oil. Now this is the pot that I used to cook the gizzard initially. Remember, I literally cooked it until it almost dried out in terms of the stock. That is liquid gold, so don't throw that away. Now we are going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil. And then we're adding in our spring onions as well as our regular red onions. These are some leftover onions that I had used for another dish, so I just happened to keep them because I had planned to make this dish as well. And we just keep cooking, and then we now add in all our bell peppers, all the different colors of them. I call it my rainbow peppers. Now, one thing you're also going to notice is that midway, I am going to be changing pots. I do this because I need a larger surface to be able to stir everything. So this is the other pot that I use, more like a pan, wok pan. If you have a wok pan, that's perfect as well. So in here, I'm just really stirring everything, making sure everything is getting enough heat, everything is stirred in properly. And then I'm gonna begin adding in the plantain first. And I add in the plantain because the plantain is actually much more harder than the gizzard. So I want to be able to get this one in, because again, I don't want the plantain to be too hard, because I know that the gizzard is already soft. Even though I fried it to toughen it a little bit, it will still soften quicker than the plantain. So I always add the plantain in first, and then I go in with the gizzard. And I keep stirring and stirring. You want to be able to continue to make sure that the heat circulates through evenly. Hence the reason why you stir a lot, because this is kind of just basically what it is. And then we're also going to go ahead and add in the stock that I told you about from when we cooked it right here. And what that does is that it also helps to bring moisture into the dish as well. The great thing about this dish is that you can actually eat it on its own. You don't even need to eat it with rice or anything, because right here you're getting your protein from the gizzard, you're getting your vegetables from the bell peppers and onions and all of that, and then you're also getting your carbs from the plantain. So you're kind of getting a well-rounded dish already in itself. And I make sure that I get all of that stuff. Nothing goes to waste. I add a little bit of water in the bowl, loosen it up a little bit because it's quite thick, and then I pour it right into the pan as well, making sure everything is in there, because that is really gonna make it taste amazing. And I just keep stirring to make sure that all of the heat is really circulating through it completely. And the great thing about this dish is that it also freezes very well. So if it's something you're not able to finish the day off, you can certainly freeze it and it will freeze well. I strongly recommend freezing it in a Ziploc bag. That way the Ziploc bag will help to maintain its moisture as well as prevent any frostbite. Because when you get frostbite, then the vegetables kind of get wilt and they're not as crunchy of the first day. But when you actually freeze it in a Ziploc bag, it actually helps to maintain the integrity of the vegetables, which is a nice little trick that I've learned just by cooking and learning from some other more experienced cooks and chefs along the way. So of course I'm using some oil. This is the oil that I use to fry the plantains as well as the gizzard. So again, I'm still also maintaining the seasoning from all of that food. I'm not getting something that's fresh that's now then going to drown out the flavor. So all of that good flavor is still maintained within the dish. And we just keep stirring to make sure that we get all of the heat circulating through and everything is cooked through and through. And this is what it actually looks like. You can literally make this dish in less than 30 minutes. It really is a family-friendly, budget-friendly meal. I hope you enjoyed, and if you love this content, follow for more.